Well, folks, welcome to the June Residents Association meeting. Things are a little bit different than we anticipated. As you know, our program today was supposed to be the police dogs from the Canine Corps. Well, I got a call about 20 minutes ago that the police dogs are doing their thing. They are policing, and they are on a call. Will come if they possibly finish, but the anticipation is that they would not. So I am so sorry to have to tell you that. Please don't throw things and I am looking for volunteers. If you sing, dance, anything that you could get up on the stage and entertain. But meanwhile, we have some wonderful speakers for you. As usual, I'll read the fire code. In the event a fire alarm sounds, please remain in the auditorium and stay seated. Should there be a need to evacuate, a Springmore staff member will direct you how to leave in an orderly fashion. Please remember not to use elevators and to go to a red pole once outside. Please use this moment to turn off your cell phones so that they will not interrupt. Actually, I'm going to read you the introduction for the dogs so that you know what you're missing. The Raleigh Canine Unit was formed in 1983. Since then, they helped patrol the streets with their four-legged partners. The unit consists of 8 officers, 1 sergeant, and a total of 13 canines. 5 officers use a patrol dog that is trained for multiple tasks and also a second dog that is specialized in one particular field, usually an explosion detective dog. The patrol dogs are trained to track a criminal or a missing person, locate discarded evidence, search a building for a hidden suspect, detect narcotic odor, explosive odor, and apprehend a suspect on command. Our explosive canine teams are utilized to perform protective sweeps of stadiums and arenas prior to events and are trained in over 26 different explosive odors. The breeds that are common that they use are German Shepherds, Belgian Malinois, and Labrador Retrievers. We'll make every effort to get them back again. We have a comedian who could just come up on stage.
Was that planned? That was good.
That was was that David Smith?
I thought it was Smith. That was good. Or is it David?
Very good, thank you. However, as a very poor substitute, we do have Brandon Hare, our executive director, who's going to update you on the situation regarding COVID. We'll get serious.
Thanks for that encouraging introduction. Appreciate that. Was that planned, the dog? I love it. I figured Miss Peg had you do that before, so. Oh, goodness. All right. Well, it's good to see everybody. I hate this got canceled. I was not able to attend the last time they were here, but didn't they have to leave early? They got called out the last time, so. Anyway, I was sharing that with some friends on a text message today about how their day was going. I said, well, even though I'm not responsible for this meeting, I said, now Miss Peg wants me to talk for like 30 minutes, so I don't know what I'm going to say. But I was going to talk about 2 things. One was about the COVID, and another one was just something I thought I'd update you on regarding staffing. I have to present to our board of directors every year an educational piece to our board, and I talk about something that's going on here at Springmore or trends in senior living, something, maybe like I write about in the resident memo or something. So I was looking at staffing trends. I'll talk about that in a second, but just to kill a little time. But first of all, I was going to talk about the COVID situation in the health center. I had sent out an email to the families with loved ones in the health center sometime last week, probably midweek, and that was to let them know that we were in outbreak status again, which means 2 or more people, staff or residents, that have tested positive for COVID. All that really means at this point is that we have to test all the residents in the health center and all the staff in the health center every week until we go 28 days without any new cases. So that is really all it means. We cannot and we do not restrict visitation anymore. We do not shut down communal dining. We don't stop activities. If people are in a private room, we're not putting them over in the COVID unit. If it is a semi-private room, we are putting them over there, so they're not in there with their roommate. But a lot has changed, and but I did. The main purpose of sending that email to the families was to let them know that their loved one's going to be swabbed once a week. So if they say, "Hey, they're swabbing my nose once a week," kind of what's going on. So I sent that out, and then I'd heard some from residents. They were concerned I didn't let everybody know in independent living, and I'm very sorry about that. And honestly, I sent that strictly for the health center people because it pertained just to the health center. It doesn't pertain to anything with y'all, but I regret if it caused any alarm. We're not trying to tell you about cases or anything. Y'all know we've had cases in independent living. We still put the chart up. I think we have 1 as of today. Those are just going to come and go. They come and go, and I don't know if they're ever going to stop. I just don't know. But we are putting that chart up still to let you know who has COVID. And I'm putting out a memo today that y'all will have to explain about the health center, what I just basically told y'all, and also about independent living, which there's really no restrictions. If someone has COVID, they need to isolate for 5 days, just like they would in the general public if they've received both vaccines and the booster shot, which I believe we all have. So all the staff members, except 8, have received both their vaccines, and we know who those are, and they have to wear masks, and they have to be tested weekly. But I think most of y'all have received both vaccine and both boosters. So if somebody gets COVID, the only requirement, and it's just a general requirement, is to isolate for 4 or 5 days. We do try to contact trace as much as possible, but it's coming impossible pretty much to do that because people are picking it up everywhere. But if we know that somebody that tested positive was with some other residents the night before or something of that nature, we will contact you. And Joyce Isley has been doing that. So I don't. So I'm hoping. I was hoping after 28 months that we kind of be past this point and not have to worry about it and report it. But I don't think we're there yet. So I wanted to make sure that y'all knew about the cases in the health center and wanted to just take 1 second to see, would y'all like for me to send y'all a memo anytime we have something happen in the health center, just so everyone will know? I won't send out a memo every time somebody gets COVID in IO. That's just going to continue to happen and happen. It may continue to happen in the health center, but would y'all like to have an abbreviated version of that? If something happens at the health center? Okay. All right, done. All right, good. So I will make sure that we, and early on I did that. I know I did that early on, and I was trying to wean us off that. I don't think we're there yet, and I know y'all are concerned. So I'll make sure anytime there's anything in the health center or a massive outbreak or something in independent living, everyone will know. So, okay?
You have a question?
Okay, yes?
When you do the universal testing in the health center, does that include staff?
Yes. Yep.
Housekeeping and healthcare?
Yes, so the question was, when we do the universal testing in the health center, is that for all the staff in the health center? And that is, we have to test all staff that work in the health center, not just nurses and CNAs, but dining, housekeeping, all the people that regularly work in there every week. Now, we don't test the staff all in independent living, only if they have symptoms.
Aren't some of those staff back and forth?
Some of them are. It's just impossible to, we try to keep them in those areas, but they have to push carts and they have to go into the kitchen and they have to go back in the health center. But there's just not much we can do about that the way we're set up. Yes.
What is the situation like if someone has a They didn't have it the same day that the spouse did, but within 3 to 5 days, they also had it.
It's a good question. So the question was, what happens if a spouse in the health center gets COVID and then the independent spouse is visiting them? If you've been around anybody that's tested positive, you should test 3 to 5 days afterwards. So that's kind of the period that they wait to do that. So yes, if somebody's going into the health center and their spouse, my wife lived there, I would need to be tested 3 to 5 days afterwards. Joyce Isley, who's a director of our clinic. Yeah, she's following up with all of that. She's the one between her, Joyce Isley, who's over the clinic, and Debbie Savinsky, our director of nursing. They're the ones who do that. They come up with a chart together. Sometimes it's independent living folks, sometimes it's health center folks, and then they'll coordinate of who needs to be tested. I know the last person, I can't remember. We just had a new case today, and there were 3 or 4 people this resident had dinner with last night or the night before. So we contacted them, and I don't know who they are, and obviously I couldn't tell you, but we've contacted them, and Joyce is going to follow up to test them a little bit later this week. All right, yep, so I just want to, so I'll put that in a memo, and I've got it out. I'm going to get it out here today, so if you have any other questions, please let me know. All right, you want me to go over anything else, or am I good? Okay, all right, she doesn't want me to talk about anything else, so we'll be good. Any other questions? All right. I did read that 45% of Americans have had COVID so far. And I don't know if it'd ever go away, so it's not encouraging, is it?
To sing a song.
No. I'll look at these nursing turnover rates, which are very good, by the way. We're better than half the national average, so I'll just say that. Okay.
Our next speaker is going to be Ben Battle, our dining director, who wants to talk to you about an event that is going to be coming up. Ben?
Yes, ma'am. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I hope all is well. Everybody's well today? All right, I don't know how many heard. So we are going to have a wonderful upcoming event this month, and it's a Food is Medicine Forum. Who hasn't heard about it? Who has heard about it? Yay! So the good thing about that is it's a forum. It's going to be on the 22nd. We're going to have it here. And then we're doing another one over at South Village. So what I want to incorporate, every time we do something here, we're going to do the same event over at South Village as well. Because I want to make sure that we get the same amount of service for both campuses. But let's go to the Food is Medicine. I'm going to go over some of the things that we want to provide as food science. We want to provide for everybody because, to me, we're food doctors. I believe sustainability, health, and longevity is all part of our natural intake. And I understand, I love, the South and Southern, but there's some benefits to what we're going to be serving in the salad bar and different venues that's going to benefit our bodies. Let me give you, for instance, you're going to see a rotation at the salad bar for different grains. And why? So, most of them facilitates digestion. It controls cholesterol levels. This is what we're going to be going over. It improves blood circulation, regulates hormones, it boosts bone health. Isn't it wonderful that natural food can actually help me? Because I remember growing up, my grandparents and my mom, they never taught us that. They would just go to the garden, pick something, and put it on the plate. But they was far ahead of their time, which I really appreciate. Do you know most of the stuff we're serving boosts immunity? And it also controls diabetes. I don't know who family member has it. My brother has diabetes, and he does not like it. So it's what we eat. Food is medicine. That's going to be the name of our forum. And lastly, I want to go over how many right here like mushrooms? Right? Mushrooms. So we're going to go over the benefits of something as simple as mushrooms. Real quick, let me tell you what mushrooms do. Do you know that is an integral part to helping our immune system? When I talked to some of my they didn't know that. Also, it reduces the risk of breast cancer. Isn't that something? Intake of mushrooms decrease the risk of breast cancer by 64%. Isn't that eye-opening? 64%. Now, I'm not talking taking medicine. I'm not talking about prescriptions. I'm talking about wonderful food. Here's another one. They have a high maybe I'm not saying this right, but it's an aromatase, and that really controls hormones activity, which means they keep the level of estrogen down and prevent it from accelerating to the growth of cancer cells. I got to tell you, knowing's half the battle. Knowing is half the battle. And lastly, these type of intakes and education, it helps us make better decisions. At my last place when we did the Food is Medicine Forum, my salad bar sales and mushroom sales tripled the next day. Not a week. They didn't wait a couple of days. The next day. Because they came to me and said, Ben, we want to make sure we eat this stuff so we don't get cancer. I said, well, it helps prevent it, but the educational piece, I think, is so powerful. So I just want to go over some of the things. We're rearranging some of the things at South Village for better flow in the salad bar. You'll be seeing some changes downstairs in the dining as well. So we have a lot of mix of activities that we're planning because the weather's beautiful. And we want to have some fun, and we want to elevate our dining service to make all these wonderful smiles keep smiling. So, based on what you heard, is anyone interested in the food forum? Do you think we should? Okay, let's raise your hands. How many is interested? All right, that's great. Also, what I would like to do at some point is to have workshops where you have a chef, we have a station set up, and they will cook different types of food right in front of you, just in case, because some people I know, we got a bunch of chefs in here, but it's just nice to know different steps of whatever it is you want to make. So with that being said, I'm also preaching on 31st here, but that's another thing. But with that being said, any questions or feedback on what you heard? Okay.
The salt content of food, it's kind of hard to get the balance, I'm sure, between plant-tastes food or salt and is really healthy. How do you approach that?
And that's a great question. She talked about sodium intake. So what we're doing downstairs is we buy mostly low sodium anyway. And if there was items that had a higher sodium content, we eliminated it. Also, I prefer, and this is just me, nobody get mad at me, I prefer that the condiments, if you like salt, and we go on with low sodium approaches, that a person can put the salt right at the table if they so choose. But to answer your question, I've approached it with a low sodium vantage point because I want to get a broader amount of folks to eat. Like, for instance, soy sauce. We don't even get regular soy sauce no more. It's low sodium, and we put less of it in there. So I want to be able to help everyone's diet and be as broad as possible. That was a great question. Yes, ma'am.
My mom was on a salt-free diet, she had a lot of blood pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And she asked the people working on the line, they just laugh at her and say, what difference does it make? And Mom said, it means my life.
Okay. Was that someplace she ate or?
No, it was here.
Oh, okay. Oh, please. Great point. So my email is public knowledge. And hopefully, please use it. I might not be in the office all the time, but I do. If you'll notice me, I'm on my phone, and I have my email attached to my phone. So as soon as something like that happened, please let me know immediately, because we do have some younger folks that they don't understand certain things because experience is a teacher in itself. But I don't want your mom or anyone to ever feel like my staff don't take it serious. Let me know right away, because it helps me address that issue in real time. So I'm sorry that tell your mom that thank you for letting me know. Oh, this happened a while back? Oh, okay. Well, thank you for bringing that up because we are going through trainings with our staff with customer service. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good day, everybody.
Thank you, Ben, for coming up with that information for us. And now we're going to get another update from Brad Dilday, who is the Director of Strategic Projects. The title escapes me. Brad, would you come up and give us an update on the progress of the health center?
Thank you, and I'm glad for the opportunity to be able to come speak with y'all. I spent enough time in the doghouse with my wife. I should be an adequate fill-in. We'll see. Yeah, so I just wanted to, just briefly touch on kind of what's been going on. I don't know if you've been walking the campus and seen we've got some equipment outside, finally some red clay showing, and finally getting the ball rolling here on the project. So things will start picking up a little bit more quickly now that we've kind of started moving on some of the bigger pieces. The first thing I wanted to touch on is the chiller lines. So we have the boilers, and Randy could give you a lot better in-depth explanation than I could, but they carry the hot and cold water for the heating and cooling system. Those were located basically going right across the C-Wing courtyard into the building. So we had to relocate those chiller lines in order to make room for the footings and any additional digging and construction that we needed to do. So we had to relocate those into a room on the corner it's actually room 160, right at the top of the ambulance ramp. And that room's going to become a laundry room for that neighborhood. So we were able to put a chase in the room, bring those chiller lines up, but that took a little over a month to get that done, and we had to kind of correlate that with weather because we had to turn the air conditioning off for a day back there. And as you can imagine, if we'd have done that today, it would have been a little toasty. So we got that done. It's been a little over a month ago now, like a nice 70-degree day. We were able to coordinate and get that done. So it was still a little warm back there, but I think everybody made it through the day, and we were good to go there. So that was kind of one of the first biggest pieces we had to get moved in order to open up everything else. From there, you'll see now if you walk around the back side, they've cleared all the brick veneer off the outside of the building where the new corridor that's going to connect basically where Carrie Corley's office is into the C-Wing. So right now we kind of it's like a big G, and we're going to connect the G to make a big O. So you'll have a big hallway going right there that'll close off from the ambulance ramp into the courtyard. So they've taken the brick veneer off there, and then we had to demo what used to be, I guess they told me once upon a time, a patio or some kind of outdoor seating that was at the health center. We demoed that area that was being used for wheelchair storage. That whole wall came down because we're going to bring the wall out to expand that space for the new therapy services area. It'll give them a nice brand new space downstairs and a little bit more square footage. So they should have a nice space to bring everything and combine occupational, physical, and speech therapy all into one space. So that should be a nice new space for us right beside the clinic. So you'll kind of have a nice wellness area all together right there. They also poured the new concrete for the courtyard in the C-Wing. I don't know how many of y'all had seen what was there before, but it wasn't getting a lot of use. It had kind of gotten overgrown in some areas, and we were able to grade that out, pour new concrete, and give them a nice walking path. We'll put some benches in there, and it'll allow us a nice area for people to be able to come and go, very similar to what we have in the Clayton Wing currently. So I think that'll be a nice addition. We also, this week, they've just started. We had surveyors out here Friday, and then as of today and the rest of this week, they will be digging the footings. So all the footings for the new structure that's going to be the canopy at the Clayton Wing entrance, they'll be digging those, and then the footings for the corridor as well as the new wall that will be going up. It's kind of hidden out of sight right now, I know, from just the general viewing area, but it's all kind of taking place up there by that ambulance ramp behind the dumpster area and the kitchen loading dock. So if you're walking around campus and want to poke your head around there, you're more than welcome. They've got caution tape up there where you don't need to go and for safety reasons, but if you look around there, you'll be able to kind of see everything that we've got going on. And I'll try to include some pictures on the portal and the resident memo. Also, if you have the Touchtown portal, there's a section under there that's titled SHC Construction Updates. And weekly, I'm going in there and kind of posting just a weekly update of what we have going on over the course of that week. So if you have any questions and you're able to access the portal, that's a good place to go and check first. If you don't see the information you're looking for, just like Ben, my email's wide open. Feel free to reach out to me, and I'm happy to answer questions for anyone at any time. Let's see. So the biggest piece that's getting ready to come is starting next week, over the next 2 weeks, we'll be relocating all the administrative offices that are downstairs, and they'll be moving into the health center on the first floor A hall. So, Carrie Corley, Joan, if you see right there on the hallway walking towards the clinic, all those offices behind there will be relocated inside the health center. Joan will still be sitting out front. We're going to have to put a temporary little office space for her where the sitting area is with the grandfather clock and the couches. She'll have a temporary little spot out there while the construction is being done in the office area so that she's still accessible and can kind of regulate who's coming in and out of the health center, especially with the COVID situation right now. We felt like we needed to keep someone out front to keep an eye on who was coming and going, a little bit better policing there and making sure that they were signing in, wearing their mask, taking their temperature, everything we can do to try to keep COVID out. So all of them will be relocating over the next week. So starting in July, they'll be coming inside and starting the demolition work inside. It's exciting, but it's also it's going to be a big change to the normal routine for people back there. The resident areas won't be affected. It may be a little noisy here and there, but they're far enough away right now that it shouldn't really disrupt life in the health center other than for the administrative staff. So we'll get them moved, and then sometime in the middle of July, we'll have to move therapy services as well, because they're going to go ahead and we got to do both second and first floor at the same time in that area because of the way we got to add some structure to the ceiling, to the foundation, I guess you would call it, so that we can get some new HVAC units on top of the roof. We got to add a little bit of support there. So they'll have to go to first and second floor. So therapy will be moved around to some different places, maybe working inside apartments a little bit more than they are right now, but you'll still be able to get all your services just like you do. You just may go to a different space within the community. The only other thing I wanted to touch on, and Brandon may want to add something, I don't want to put you on the spot, but in the Clayton wing, we have already begun with our transformation, trying to implement the neighborhood lifestyle that we're going to be doing across the campus or across the health center after the renovation. So it's kind of our pilot. It was already kind of off to itself, so it was easy to implement as a neighborhood. And what we've done is we've closed in the nursing station there so that it's not just nurses sitting at a desk looking over everybody. That would be very institutional. So we've kind of closed that in to where you don't just have to look at them and they're just looking back at you, everybody grouped together. So we've closed that in. We've got some new furniture in the activity space. We've done an upgrade to the dining experience. Is kind of where we have focused our attention. It's more creating a home-like atmosphere instead of feeling like you're in a kitchen being served. So they're closing the door now to the kitchen. There no more condiments on the table. You're trying to treat it more like your home. It's a slow process of training staff and training residents because people get used to their routine. It becomes difficult to get you out of that routine. So we're trying to get everybody to feel more comfortable, make it more home-like in that area, and then the staff that is there will be able to use their experience going through this to help train the other staff once the neighborhoods open up in other areas. I think it's been a valuable experience. We have Yvette Service is back there as our household coordinator, which is a new position. She was on staff here, but she was given that position because we felt like she'd be good at it. She's taken the reins and run with it. She's been awesome and coordinating activities, helping out with a lot of different stuff back there. I can't think of any prime examples.
It's kind of doing their own activities now, like movie night and
birthday
parties on their own.
Everything's kind of focused in that area and trying to get more input from the residents that live on Clayton Wing so that they can have a little bit more say. Hey, there's only 12 of y'all, what movie do you want to see versus trying to find a movie for 100 people. So they get a little bit more personalization, and I think it's going to be really good moving forward. Do you want to add anything on that? I think, yeah. That's the main thing I got, unless anybody has any questions. Yes, sir.
You still anticipate the same timeline for completion because of the supply?
Yes and no. As of right now, we're probably looking at March or April of 2024 for the actual completion of the whole project. So we've still got a ways to go, but it's like I said, it's being done in phases. So each phase is somewhat on schedule, just with the start date being pushed back so much. That's what kind of threw us off. But yeah, we're still looking at around 2 years to get everything done. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. Okay, we do have door prizes, so we'll have those now. Ben, how about you drawing first ticket?
Okay.
The number is 316978. Here we are, over here. Emily. Brad, how about drawing one? And this one is very close to that one. 316976. Here we are, right here, Charlie Bryan. That makes it even. One is from north and one is from south, so that works out. I do need to remind you all that in July and August, we do not have Residents Association meetings. So the next meeting that we have will be in September, and that is traditionally our budget meeting when the budget for the coming year is presented. So barring any other business issues, and I apologize once again on behalf of the dogs, and we will try to reschedule them. But thank you for coming. We're adjourned.